Hello, Mahali. What's going on? Hello, Think. Holla. Like that. Hey, Mustafa. Hello, 15. Hope you guys had a good week. We're getting out of the funk from the holidays. Everybody's been distracted. Sales have been all over the place. PPC's been kind of all over the place, but things are getting really back to normal again. I mentioned economic wise, since December 10th, the Fed restarted their quantitative easing program, and the sales just keep getting better as predicted. I think we're going to go into one of the most hottest successful economic booms here in the next couple of years that we've seen. It'll be like 2021 all over again, going into the next year or two. Take advantage of it while you can. 15. Yeah, my assistant is getting the access, and just to let you guys know, just an update. So right now, I'm still accepting applications for free audit in exchange for, we're going to do a live optimization of campaigns on YouTube Live here. If you want a free audit, I'll audit your campaigns and then tell you what to do over a multi-week series, and then people will learn through that. Just now taking on the accounts to get everything arranged. We're going to start that anytime. 15. What do you think about stocks and hypercycle? So I don't exactly know what a hypercycle is per se. I don't know the verbiage. The one thing about the stock market is right now is, if you take out the main like 7 tech companies that are all pumped up due to the AI hype, the stock market is actually not that up that much. And then if you also price the stock market in gold, it's been going down in actuality. So what you got in the stock market is mainly just inflation of the currency supply. So it looks good on paper or whatnot, or at least it has been the last couple of years as the Fed's been going through quantitative tightening. The economy's actually been contracting, even though it looks like it's expanding. And people are getting confused by that. They're like, why is the stock market going up and my sales are going down? Well, that's why. But like I said, it's gonna pump hard. Ever since the Federal Reserve has started this quantitative easing and tightening crap, they go through easing, everything's going to go and surge. When they go through tightening, it's going to go the opposite. You could pretty much bank on that. And until there's some sort of currency change, which I think is going to we're going to be switching to asset-backed currencies here again soon, that's going to continue to be the case. You can pretty much bank on that. Think awesome stuff. Any thoughts on mortgages as to vertical to do lead gen? So for the mortgage space, first of all, you want to specialize. That's the key thing there. Reverse mortgages, refis, veteran loans, something like that. Almost all the hyper successful guys and companies I see doing that specialize in just one type of loan and crushing it in that one regard. Otherwise, it's like, why not just go to your local bank and get a loan through them ultimately? There's 2 ways to always make money online. You can look like you're a specialist and they go through to you for that. Of course, technically, if you market yourself locally and you are local, you have that edge itself. But or you could be faster. I mean, you could come up with an app that makes getting a mortgage quicker than anybody else with the least amount of effort, and you can win that way. But that requires knowing about tech and whatnot. I mean, we even had a laundry service that, you can revolutionize and create a great business for yourself. Just taking a simple thing like laundry service and making it easier to order because you got an app on your phone. With one button, you can have somebody pick up laundry on your doorstep and bring it back, fold and wash and all that within 24 hours. And because you made it easier, everybody flocks to you, and you didn't do anything different per se. You just made it easier. Meanwhile, most people, in order to do laundry service, you got to drive it to the damn place. Or if you order it online, you have to go through all this huge checklist of shit that nobody wants to do. Instead of $40 one time flat fee, fill the bag up to the top as full as you want, $40 no matter what. And then you hit the button on your phone, and then somebody magically shows up to pick it up, and they bring it back a day later. So that's the other way to win. But you got to really know what you're doing in the mortgage space, even if you niche down, because you got a lot. The more money in the niche, the more you're going to have to know about PPC, and the more you're going to have to do to win to make it all work, particularly as these bigger companies don't need an immediate ROI. They literally can run their campaigns at a loss because they got investor slush funds slushing around in their company. It's got to be spent no matter what. It can be tough. Not to say to discourage you, but you got to be on your shit to do it. Totally doable still. Uh, 15, I uploaded the same products multiple times to Merchant Center. Initially, it was 3, but now I've uploaded a 4th time. The reason is that I'm testing different product images. That's cool. Technically, I'm making a video, by the way, just about shopping split testing like that, because I never really thought about it, and I'm doing some testing around that myself now. Everybody, by the way, should be doing split testing on your shopping campaigns. Settling for whatever random image on your site and whatever price you just have on there by default is a sucker's play. Shopping should be 70% of the revenue that comes into your company long term. For most e-commerce businesses, at least when it comes to running ads, and to settle for what you can get by having default images, all that's just leaving 3/4 of the money on the table long term. Mahali, if your capacity is full, do you continue to search and look for new clients? Respectively, yeah. Well, the short answer to that is yes, but the easiest way to, and I don't care if we're talking about an agency business here or any business really, all you should be doing when you are trying to grow your company is just systematize what you're doing. And there's always something to what you're doing that's repeatable. And then you just hire people once it's systematized to do that piece of the work. And then you just keep doing that over and over again. That's how big companies are usually built. It's just really hard in our space because everything's changing so fast. It's like almost impossible to make systems, which is why mostly everybody in this space sucks, because there's no clear way to systematize everything. That said, there's a lot more systematizable than people pretend there is. And for that matter, I recommend anybody trying to start an agency, instead of going this route where you hire an ad manager and they're responsible for getting results for the client, you figure out how to get results, and then you have a team of people underneath you who do the work. Just like a lawyer would do. Does a lawyer outsource his work to other lawyers? Well, he can, but what he does more so first, or at least first, is he has paralegals to do the research, and he has secretaries to answer the phone. And he has this whole support system underneath them to leverage his time. And that's what people should be doing, but they don't think about that for some reason. And you can end up making a lot of money and doing a lot of work when you got other people to do the minutia of it, and you're just the idea man. That's the important part anyway, is the idea about what to do, not how to do it or doing it. You could find good designers, programmers, stuff to execute and check their work. The hard part is knowing exactly what to do that's going to deliver the results. 15, one very standard image, one lifestyle image, one semi-lifestyle image, and one with halo effect to draw more attention to the product. Sounds like a pretty good strategy. You're ahead of 99% of people already with that approach. Is having 4 versions of the same product in Google Merchant Center too many, or is that still fine? I haven't found a limit on how many products you can upload yet. I mean, that said, I haven't really tried to push my luck with it, but you should be fine uploading 4 versions of the same product, honestly, because Google's system, you know, the deal with Google is they're always trying to save money. They want to do less review and use AI to review more. Well, the AI doesn't know what the hell is going on. If an item has a unique item ID, they don't know that it's not a unique item, because many times people will have different items on a site, and all that's different is the shade of the color of the item. And so they can't be super picky about it. So it's just like kind of a drawback of not having humans actually review stuff is you can have 4 items on there with different item IDs and they're not going to catch it. If that makes sense. From your experience, is there any downsides to this, or is it acceptable as long as it's done for clear testing purposes? We're doing it for non-testing purposes. I'll admit that. I mean, literally the easiest way to make more money in shopping is to just, when you have a winning item, is just to upload the item 3 times with different item IDs. And then it'll, in the shopping space, when you go Google your main terms, it shows up 3-4 times in the 8 spots that are there. I know that's technically an anti-competitive business practice, but you know, business is war. You know, this is a situation where the winner takes most. In PPC, that really is the way that it is. And so if you're not going to go to the extent of trying to do everything you can to get all the sales you can, somebody else is going to do it. And as long as the consumer gets a good deal because they're buying from you and they're getting a better deal, in my book, I don't care. It's just give the consumer a better deal. That's what counts. Knowledge Schwab. Hey, what's up? Think, grow, successful. What is your philosophy about changing campaign budgets when needed versus gradually changing budgets over time? I do lead gen, and sometimes my clients need less volume, so I have to lower my budget. I mean, ideally, you're changing your budgets as slowly as possible if you can afford to do so. The problem is sometimes you can't afford to do so. But at the same time, making a lot of changes is also bad. So as it comes to changing budgets, if I limit, let's say 100 a day, and I know I need to get to 20 a day because the slow season's coming, I'm not going to go from 100 to 90. I'm not going to do all that. I'm just going to go from 100 to 20, rip the Band-Aid off, and then that's it. That said, on the way up, it's kind of a different story. If you go from 100 to 300 a day right away, you usually break the performance of the campaign. So I'll go up 15% at a time. But when you're going down, it's less sensitive. I will say that in a general sense. Mahali, as you say, it's hard to systematize everything in a rapidly changing niche. It seems like much easier to make money as a freelancer than as someone in an agency, even harder if you're CEO. So for the most part, most agencies can't systematize shit unless they're going to niche down. The problem with niching down, though, is all the good niches are taken already. This isn't 2010 anymore. If you want to just work with dentists, of course, there's 15 other guys already doing that, and you're not special anymore. And then if you find a niche like crime scene cleanup services, well, there's only 3,000 companies doing it. And once you send your 3,000 letters out to the people and you get a 0.1% response rate, well, you're kind of toast already. Like, it's hard to scale it up then. There's only so many people to send a letter out to, and then you have a different problem. So, you know, generally speaking, just think about it like this, though. An agency is never meant to, unless you want to really water down the service, not meant to scale to the moon. Ultimately, it can't. It's just like construction services. There's no one mega construction company that serves nationwide and everybody goes to them, because it's unscalable in a way. So what you want to do is build out a system, like I mentioned earlier, systemize what you can, get it to what you can. And then once you get it there, sell it or use your money to start up an actual scalable company. Don't, in my opinion, don't fall for the, making and shitifying the service to try to scale it, because all you end up doing is making your service like everybody else's that's already out there. And there's no point to having any more of those services like that. So, as much as we all want to just step away from the work, I mean, that's in effect what makes it valuable. It's not scalable. Therefore, there's a huge demand for somebody who's going to treat it seriously, and you can be that person that treats it seriously and make good money for yourself. It just won't scale to 10 million or $100 million a year, because, it's not inherently a very scalable business. Think grows successful. How do you test creative performance on Google? It seems that on Facebook, the process is fairly automated with Andromeda now. I agree, by the way, on that. Facebook ads, there is no true split testing going on anymore. You can't, it's just not even possible to run one. On Google ads, it's a lot more possible, particularly with campaign experiments, which I rarely rely on. I more so am a guy who just sets up a second ad in an ad group and set the campaign settings to rotate evenly. And then, even though it won't be a true even split of rotation of one ad versus the other, that's pretty close. It'll get me a pretty good, decent split test going on. Knowledge swap. If I have a main campaign and then I start other campaigns, do those other campaigns affect the main campaign? I feel like it does, but I'm not entirely sure. I could just be paranoid. So this is a common question I get. It will, new campaigns will affect other campaigns if there's overlap, but not that much, because Google won't run it that aggressively at first until they know it performs well, or at least is better than the original campaigns that were there. So I always run new campaigns side by side with the old campaigns for a few months at least to break in the new campaigns because of this. And I don't see the current campaign performance or the old campaign's performance really affected at all when we do that. Because of what I said. 15. Thanks for your answer. I'll delete my question in Discord then. Won't bother me if you don't, but I appreciate that. Mustafa, I score a lead 3 days late in CallRail. Will Google Ads still get it and accept it? And in CallRail, send call values and form values is set for 1 day delay. Good question. I normally don't set it for a 1 day delay because of exactly what you just said, because sometimes it takes more than a day to get it imported. Now, obviously, that if you put it at 30 days and then you upload it every 3 days, you're also got a disadvantage there because the data is just sitting in limbo waiting to be sent. So that's kind of like also the reason why I usually don't use Google CallRail for the lead scoring directly. To send, at least to send that data to Google Ads, I'm going to use a spreadsheet so I can get it in there as soon as I've scored the lead itself. So it's something to consider. Will CallRail send the data to Google Ads on the second day in your scenario there? They will send it, if it's set for 1 day delay, once a day they will upload it. So if you upload it today, tomorrow it will be sent like that. 15, perfect. So I see I'm doing okay. I know it is war. I created a bot that generates fake orders to my competitors that accept COD. Okay, now, just for the record here, I should be able to explain. Okay, here's the litmus test to see if you went too far. If you explain your strategy to your family members and they're going to start to question what you're doing, then you might be crossing a little bit of an ethical line. Of course, there's a million ways you can destroy a competitor if you have no morals, ethics, whatever. I mean, hell, you could just overload their phone systems if you wanted to, just with a bot. I made a video, funny enough, about how to do that and what people are doing out there, let alone clicking their ads and all the rest of it. But realistically speaking, I mean, it's a funny thing to think about, right? Because if you know your competitor is scamming people and you're not, is it unethical to take their business down? Or should you just let them keep scamming people and be like, well, I'm not going to stoop to that level? I don't know how you answer that question. I guess this isn't a business ethics class. I guess you're going to have to decide for yourself if you're going to do that or not. Mustafa, when we add 0 in the value section of CallRail, it will show 0 conversions or $0. If said the lead is a good lead to put 0. So that value box is just an arbitrary number. They just look at it as a measure of size. So they're not looking at it as a dollar or lead score or anything. It's literally there to just give you, it's like a way to measure the size of or quality of the lead itself. So it doesn't matter if it's dollars or lead score or whatever. You can use it in multiple ways there. And there's really no drawback to going one versus the other, at least from a standpoint of the system thinking that it's revenue and you're using it for lead score and therefore they don't like you not using it for what it wasn't intended for. Hopefully that makes sense. Mahali, if you upload offline conversions with value and constantly from conversation calls, if you have value on every closed call and those without value, is it okay to run ROAS target on leads campaign? Yeah, you'll get the best results, generally speaking, once you've uploaded like 300 of these conversions. So if you haven't yet, you may want to just optimize for leads by itself or calls by itself until you get to that minimum threshold. As per what I've noticed, you could get, it might benefit you to optimize for closed calls sooner than that. It just depends on your situation, but that's kind of a general guideline there, because the algorithm needs so much of that data to really utilize it well. That's overall, not per month. 15, how do I get fake comments on my meta ads? I am starting to think with the black hat. I assume BH is black hat. You know, funny enough, there's software now that you can actually comment on your competitors' Facebook ads. And I thought that was a brilliant idea. If you actually am curious about where to get that software, I can hook you up. Just reach out to me in Discord or whatnot, and I'll point you to it. But even if you weren't doing that, I know you're basically saying on your own ads itself here, I guess, which is kind of an interesting concept. Like you could talk yourself up like, oh, I loved this product or whatever. You know, that's pretty sketchy, but I can see that definitely adding a lot of conversion to your ads. But what I was talking about is commenting on your other competitors' ads. So this software would literally find your competitors' ads, comment on them, of which should get you noticed by using their ad budget to get awareness around your product, which is a whole other thing you could potentially do. Kuru, hey, on one campaign, TCPA was a lot of data. The average 30 days is $70, but some ad groups are around 30 to 40. I set TCPA to 40 and it barely gets clicks for 2 days now since I set it. Yeah, the main, I think, issue you have there is you lowered that TCPA too quickly. If you want to get it there, you need to take baby steps and you need to put gaps. And like you lower it 15%, wait 3 weeks, lower it 15%, wait 3 weeks, and you'll have better results. So for now, the only thing you can do is reverse it back to 70, let it recover for a while, few weeks, and then start that descent. Kuru, on $70, I can get clicks. I can get clicks for $50, $60 with no conversion. Should I use portfolio bid limit? You get what you pay for with Google Ads. Ultimately, you can put a bid limit, but your clicks are just going to not be as much. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Cost per click is an irrelevant metric in Google Ads now, because the less you pay, that, I mean, of course you want it to go down because your quality scores are going up, but the amount you pay is just absolutely should be a complete afterthought. It's, does the click convert or not? Does it convert high enough to justify the cost per click? That's all you should care about. This arbitrary, I don't want to pay X dollars more than what I'm paying now, or I don't want to pay $1 more than this amount per click. That's all just self-limiting beliefs about how this, things should work. It used to be back in the day that that would be helpful to go that route. But nowadays, yeah, you think you're winning, lowering your cost per click from 50 to 25, but then they're just giving you the dog shit traffic. So you're not winning anything. You need to get, if you want to pay less, you need to get there by having better ads, better landing pages, not trying to put artificial limits on things, because you get what you pay for, and that cost cut is going to come from somewhere. 15, I'm amazed about the difference in between MA and GA. I'm running a 280 ROAS on Google Analytics 70. It was a little bit segmented what you said there. You're talking about the difference in data between Google Ads and Google Analytics. That's always going to be the case. It's going to be off roughly plus or minus 30% there. Usually Google Analytics will convert track about 30% less than Google Ads, which is why you want to use Google Ads tracking by default, and then Google Analytics as your secondary tracking data source itself and backup data source. Knowledge. Okay, cool. Thanks for answering. No problem, buddy. 15, I've been running GA 4 months, of course, loss. Okay. Knowledge. My CallRail-to-Google Ads integration failed for 4 months, and I never realized, and my profitability jumped 3x. What? That's sweet. I mean, if it works, it works, buddy. But you got to see, the thing you guys need to do is when you set up your tracking, just know one of the biggest tasks we have at our agency is for our clients is maintaining their tracking, because it breaks all the time. And that's just a part of it. So you got to constantly test and monitor it. And when campaigns rely on that data and you don't monitor it, it'll go off the rails. I mean, I don't know why your tracking wasn't working and your results went up, but unless you were tracking the wrong things, and then that would make sense. Knowledge. So if your results are good without having it there, I mean, I always have the philosophy, if it's not broken, don't try to fix it. Now, that said, if you're not satisfied with your results, you should relook at fixing your tracking, or at the very least, you say to fix it and then put the tracking goals as secondary. If we're talking about Google Ads, that is still, so that it doesn't affect your current results while you're still building up data in the background. Because eventually one day you'll say, I'm tired of the money I'm making now, I want to make more. And then you don't want to be like, well, I need to set up my tracking and wait a year for data to come in to do something. You want that data on deck so that you can jump on it right then and there. Throwing all that data away because you don't want to hook the tracking up now doesn't make any sense. It's half the value of your ad spend is the data that you're acquiring. Mustafa, I want to use CallRail's data and spreadsheets to upload data manually offline, but it only allows me to upload GCLID. 60% of my conversions are Gbraid. How to upload both? I think we were talking about how you can hash your data of their email address and their phone numbers, and you can upload those, and that you can bridge the gap somewhat that way, right? Using their enhanced conversion tracking process. And you can go that route, and it will make it a little better. The fact that it's 60% Gbraid now, that's crazy. Usually for our clients, it's only 10%. I don't know why it's so high. 15. Yes, the bot is an engineering marvel. It spits orders and using residential rotating proxies. You must be in a country where cash on delivery is more common, but that is absolutely diabolical. Ordering 1,000 orders through your competitor's website with cash on delivery, and then they're all just phantom orders. See, that's the type, if you really wanted to screw with your competitors, and you get targeted, there's really almost nothing you can do like that. Like, how are you going to fix that situation? It's almost impossible. It's basically impossible. If that happens to you, there's nothing you can do. Except for not charging cash on delivery. But that's brilliant. Mustafa, continuing. How to upload Gbraid data of CallRail as offline contracting like on a spreadsheet. You got to hash the data and you got to use enhanced conversion tracking. Look into doing it that way. Think, I'm considering building a software to help marketers. If you were in my shoes, what so you feel is a big problem that wasn't solved well yet? Okay. So number one, we were just talking about it on this very call. Ideally, there'd be some sort of like split testing tool for Google shopping campaigns. It's not like I don't know if that would be commercially viable, but one thing I will say, the first person who was able to figure out how to create a platform that will take a lead in from a standard phone call or a form fill and can pre-qualify it, get it on a person's calendar, and that will send conversion data back to the ad platform to know that it was appointment was booked to self-correct how the ads are going, is going to make a lot of money. And I know there are a few companies out there that say they do it already technically, but the reason why this is important is because where we have right now is a disconnect between marketers who know how to run the ads and business owners who know how to do the operation side of their business. And they kind of like clash because the marketers are just doing the bare, the minimum to keep the client happy, and the client's not happy, and they're thinking, why isn't it working? So therefore I won't pay more because it's not working. And nobody kind of like, there's no, like growth in the relationship. Ideally, we move to a situation where marketers run calls to an AI-based call center that pre-qualifies leads, interacts with the lead, finds out, oh, you've gotten in a car accident. How was the car accident? Are you hurt? What was the doctor's report say? And then it takes the person through the entire pre-qualification process, is able to call the personal injury lawyer, talk to the secretary, ask them when they have an availability or whatever. Then while the prospect's on hold, tells the prospect, okay, great, we'll get you in at 3. And then the law firm pays for booked appointments, not marketing services. And the reason why it's got to be like that is because they suck at sales. You can't just sell them leads because then they'll say the leads suck because they don't know how to do sales or sales processes. So what we need is something to automate the entire lead qualification process. And then with that with somebody who really knows how to run ads, that can then sell booked appointments to people, which people can't screw up a booked appointment at that point in time. And they know what the value is on it, and they're willing to pay a set price per booked appointment. It simplifies the process for them. For the marketer, they don't have to deal with the headaches of working with the client per se. No offense to any clients, that I have, but for the average marketer who knows how to run ads, they don't know how to interact with a business owner in a way that's manageable. So if you could empower somebody to have the whole middle pre-qualification of the lead, getting it on the calendar, and so that the company didn't have to deal with it, and the marketer don't have to deal with the client, and then had a platform where people could come on, bid for a certain amount per booked appointment. That is the companies that need booked appointments, similar to how LSA works or local service ads, and marketers that could come in and just drive calls to the AI system, which immediately qualifies them. That's $1 billion idea in itself. People just want booked appointments at the end of the day. And marketers want to work with clients, but their sales process is usually never good enough to just sell them leads, ultimately. And that's what they want to do, is sell them leads, because they don't want to overcomplicate the process. So I know that's going to be difficult to put together, but a platform that allowed you to bring buyer and seller together, and then that pre-qualified all the leads, that would be a great platform. $15, definitely DMing you for that. Okay, great. Mahali, very cool trick. Learned from branding, making 100 million in the last 2 to 3 years in Europe. You upload a photo as a post. Friends give a real review of the product in the first few hours of the post. you know, the main thing is that, just to state the obvious, what people say they want and what they actually will spend money on are two different things. People say they don't want to be this or that, don't want to be ripped off. They would do X, Y, and Z. Where the rubber meets the freaking road is when you're asking them for money on the barrel, and then you find out what people really think. So these surveys and whatnot that ask people what they would do and what they would spend money on, it's unfortunately not nearly as useful as what it should be. Your best bet to test a product or a market that you want to enter is setting up a fake ad campaign or faux ad campaign, if you want to be more politically correct about it, and sell that product or service as if you have it and see if people will actually click the buy button. And then if they will, then you now know you've got something real. Asking people if they think it's cool or would pay for it, that's not the way to go, because people will just bullshit you all day long. They may even think that they would pay for it, but when it actually comes to whipping out their wallet and having to go through the physical, mental pain of parting with that money, you really just don't know what people think at the end of the day. Mahali, then it's put on advertising, best results from advertising with comment starting. So you're right. To take it to the next level, though, I would just skip all that and just go with the ad right away. Just run the ad, see if you get a high click-through rate and people clicking on the buy button. People should always start there, but they don't. And they end up wasting all this time developing a product that nobody wants. And you couldn't give it away for free, ultimately. Unknown. How do you go about adding new keywords in your campaign? Does that push it to the learning phase or something? It can if you add too many at once. Your best bet is to add them slow if you can. Or even better, add the new keywords into a separate campaign if you have a lot of them, to avoid the learning mode on the existing campaign that may be paying your bills. 15. I'm the merchant center. What's the optimal image aspect ratio? 1:1 or 2:3? Oh, good question. I don't have a really good answer for you there. I just go with what the designer does, and I haven't really went to that level with it. So I'd like to know myself. That's a good, interesting test experiment I should run. Unknown. On one of your videos, you recommend to use manual conversion upload. So if I'm using CallRail to send conversion right now, how should I switch to manual upload, and will there be a risk 2x counting? Yeah, real simple. You just make sure the new manual upload goes to a separate conversion goal that you've set up separately just for the manual uploads. That's marked secondary. Then it won't double count at all. 15, NOP MA equals meta ads. Okay. Am amazed about the difference in between meta ads and Google ads. On meta ads, I'm running a 280 ROAS, Google 78%. So meta ads customer matching algorithm is really, really getting good now again. So because of that, meta ads in a lot of cases is working faster than Google ads. Also, presumably because meta ads can test your ads and know that they're good much quicker, and there's less variables. With Google ads, there's lots of variables. So I'm not surprised that you're seeing that. I'm also seeing that a lot. And that said, they both generally, if one will work, the other will work if you just work them. So I wouldn't give up on Google. It's just going to take a little longer. 15. So I'm running Google ads for 4 months at a loss. So the main thing is, I would say just put your budget to what you can afford to lose. And then, just know that as long as you're making some progress, eventually it'll be worth it. Or you work harder on making better ads and better websites, landing pages, to make your results better, quicker, faster. Because that's always the way to do it, quicker. Otherwise, you have to wait. Mustafa, for my CallRail question, if I turn on enhanced conversions, I thought enhanced conversions don't work for phone calls and it only works for form fills. Oh, yes, you're right. It will only work for form fills, not phone calls. So with those ones that say Gbraid, Wbraid, there's nothing you can do, unfortunately, unless you use CallRail like you're saying. So that's the pro of using CallRail versus, if you don't use CallRail. So there's pros and cons to using CallRail versus the sheet. Knowledge. If I have a main campaign on Google Ads that's doing great and I want to test more ad creatives, what is the safest way to do it without causing my campaign to fluctuate too much? Yeah, the main answer to that is just a separate campaign. All your new creative goes in that campaign. To minimize volatility the most. If you're fairly confident it'll work, just put it in the same ad group. Put the new ad in the new ad group and run it there. But it won't. It'll definitely cause the least volatility in a brand new separate campaign just for testing purposes, if that's your main concern. Someone special to you. Sup, Corey? Hey there. Nice to meet you. Welcome aboard. 15. I'm about to reach 100 people on my customer match list. Is that a big milestone? Yeah. What I always use to judge a brand too is how many people are on Google Keyword Planner are searching for your brand name. That's a kind of a good vanity metric. You want to keep that growing. I'm wondering, starting multiple e-commerce stores that I am 90% sure that will work, or just the one store. What do you think? So this is an interesting kind of question or conundrum here. Should you start one e-commerce site and try to scale it, keep scaling it, or is it easier to make more, to become rich, having multiple e-commerce sites and doing multiple, presumably micro niche websites? The answer to that is kind of like in the middle for the most part, because if you try to, and I've described this on the channel before, if you try to, like, for instance, go into business competing with blinds.com selling blinds, you're going to get your ass handed to you unless you got millions to start it up, because there's so much money in it that these guys that are running the ads have so much more of a data advantage than you on the data that they racked up in their account. You're going to really struggle, not to mention they're got millions dumped into their website in terms of the user experience and so forth. You're going to really struggle. So what you want to do is start with a small e-commerce niche. It'll be easy to win in that as a result, and then maybe go to a bigger one later. But having 10 e-commerce sites in small niches where there's basically no competition, so you're just dealing with and competing against essential retards. Yes, it's easy to win, but you now have to manage 10 websites. And that's a big headache. Trust me on that. So yes, you have to know a lot less about ads and marketing principles to make it work. But do you really want to manage 10 websites? It's not nearly as easy and manageable than you think, even if you have quote unquote good people. There's so many moving parts with this stuff. It's, in my opinion, because of this, better to have one website that you try to scale. And the problem though is it's at least until you get to about 10 million a year in revenue, then it's better to start a second e-commerce site. So scale up to the 10 million, then start another one if you're still hungry to make more in terms of top line revenue, versus trying to take that 10 million to 100 million. It gets to be in a niche where you can get to 100 million. It's much harder than just starting up another site to get to 10 million, if that makes sense. Carlos, what's up? Corey, hey, welcome aboard. Oscar, have you used Microsoft Clarity? What is it good for? I don't personally use it. I'm a Hotjar man myself. So yeah, I'll just say that. Knowledge. My Google Ads does great for the national services company, but do you think it will work the same for FB ads? I just mentioned a bit ago that if Google works, usually Facebook will work. Yes, it doesn't work the same way. You got to be more creative on Facebook, and sometimes Facebook works faster than Google. Sometimes it's the other way around. It just varies by niche. The main thing is, though, don't put yourself in the position to get comfortable. If one works, don't be like, well, I'm making $10,000 a month. Time, it's stripper and, Ferrari time. No, use your money, be smart, get the second traffic source going, because your ads, particularly on Facebook, can get shut down anytime. Assume it will get shut down anytime. You need to have at least 3 to 5 traffic sources that are profitable going before you can even get halfway comfortable with what you're doing. Carlos, how high of a priority is keyword over ad copy landing page alignment for you, or keyword ad landing page alignment for you, and why do you think most companies skip it? Most people skip it because they're just lazy and complacent, going back to the complacency thing. People in life inherently are lazy. They want to know, what can I do to get the bare minimum done so I'm comfortable enough, and once I'm there, I'm good, and I'm not going to move again until this comfortableness isn't there anymore. They're not really excelling for greatness. Even though I could give them a step-by-step guide, here's how to double your revenue, just do X, Y, and Z. Most people, if they're comfortable, they're just going to be like, that's nice and everything. I mean, it just goes along with everything else. I mean, poor people, I can give them a step-by-step guide to become a millionaire in 10 years. 99% of people are going to be like, I'm not doing that. That's work. And people complain about being poor, but really, at the end of the day, they just don't want to go through the work of doing it, which is fine. But people are broke mostly because they just don't want to put any effort in. They want to do the bare minimum. And so why should be obvious to business owners. People want an ad and a landing page that's relevant and they're tied together, right? Why don't they do it? They're too lazy, basically, bottom line. Mustafa, what's your thought on CallRail closing their lead center on January 27? Oh, I didn't hear about that yet. That's kind of nuts. I have no idea why they would do that, unless there's some new privacy laws that is interfering with their business, which I would presume that's the way that it is, because why would they throw away a revenue center like that? Can't be that is too expensive to maintain. Think Grow Successful. As someone new to ecom, how would you suggest getting into that space where you would source the product from where you don't clearly sell cheap Chinese products? So first of all, in ecom, you want to sell something that takes interacting with the customer by phone, because if you don't, you're going to be in competition with Amazon and you're not going to win that battle. Why would they deal with you, a no-name company, when they can go to Amazon and order it then and know they're not going to get ripped off? I mean, it's not impossible, but there's no value, what they call like value add to the market. You always got to have a value to the market to exist. You can't just be inserting yourself in the middle and there's no added value to the consumer purchasing buying chain. So when you can become a product expert and they can call and ask, and you can answer technical questions, that is your value to the market. On top of that, and then because of that, you normally need to sell items that are more expensive because they're going to ask questions before they buy. You also ideally want to sell USA made product because people go nuts for quality now. They're tired of cheap Chinese bullshit, just like what you're saying here. Not to say you can't make money doing it. You could take cheap Chinese shit and then put and somehow make it better and put a warranty on it and kind of patch things over that way. You can legitimately do that. My suggestion is to not take the easy path. The easy path is sell cheap Chinese shit to people they're not going to particularly like, and they're not going to be back for more. Take the harder path, make a quality product, so that at least when you sell the product, you can get a good review and you can build an actual brand, so that someday you're going to sell the company. When you sell cheap Chinese shit that is the same as other vendors, there's no brand being built there because there's nothing of value you've created. You're just you're just another vendor at that point in time. How do you get good product to sell that is USA made? Well, ultimately, my suggestion would be to take something that already exists and then send it to an engineer and change up the packaging and have it have the same function. I mean, that's not, that takes money, but you want to know how to legitimately do it. That's how you do it. You go to a manufacturer who can replicate something that's on the market that's already good quality, put a slightly different look or feel on it, and then sell it as your own. Really, that's all it takes. Knowledge. Do you personally do any e-commerce sales or mainly focus on your agency? So I've mentioned on a few of my videos before that I do revenue share deals with different companies. Almost nobody wants to do it, so I stopped speaking on it, where instead of paying our agency fees, you pay us 4% of your revenue growth forever. We'll do all your PPC for free. I'll comment and help you make sure your website converts better. You have all the advice and guidance you want there. And as long as you pay me 4% of your revenue growth, you never have to pay me anything up front. But people don't want that. They don't want to lose control over their company or anything like that. So they just pay the management fees. And so there's a reason why agencies exist, because they don't want business partners. And I mean, that's their right and all that. So we have had partnerships where we did that deal, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, mainly because the operator sucks if it doesn't work out. It's not that the ads won't work, but it takes more than knowing how to run ads to run a successful e-commerce company. That's for sure. Anyway, running e-commerce is pretty straightforward if you have a quality product and you offer a good phone service, because people don't want to do it. They're not willing to do it. If they do answer the phone, they have an idiot answering the phone. And if you just are able to pull off that one thing right, have a half decent site, have a half decent product, it's pretty easy to make it work. So we do have some e-commerce assets there, even though that's not our primary business to do that and my primary focus to do that. And I would not want to get into e-commerce myself, because I've seen people that ran agencies that tried to I'm just going to start doing e-commerce on the side. You either do the agency or you do the e-commerce, one or the other, pick one. If you start doing both, you're not going to be good with ads anymore, and that's going to suck. To be good at ads, you have to just do ads. Unfortunately, it's too complex nowadays. And if you start to do multiple things, you're just going to suck at running the ads, because the shit's updating too fast. It's changing too fast. And for the most part, that's the way that it is. I think this will be the last question, guys. I have a client meeting coming up in a couple minutes. So unfortunately, I couldn't get through all the questions here today, but I'll be back here next week. So the last question will be from unknown CI1. What would be an ideal conversion rate for form to call automation? Like, how many leads would pick up the automated call and get routed to a human agent? I know it depends but what for ideas or general idea? Oh, so if you're talking about the automation I've talked about on other videos before, where you have a call script that when somebody enters the form details, it calls the salesperson automatically, says, hey, John Smith just filled out the form, press 1 to call John Smith. You hit 1 and then it automatically calls that person. If you're wondering how many times that customer who filled out the form will actually pick up the call, it's like 80-90%. So practically speaking, you get them all. Where you get drop off on, the longer the time to response on a form lead, the more the drop off. And people, they like to say they respond to form leads quickly, but at the end of the day, they don't truly respond to them quickly. If you're serious about it, you would be doing exactly that. You'd be responding within 60 seconds. I challenge you to actually go to any of these big mortgage sites, that are spending millions on ads. They ain't screwing around answering the form lead after 15 minutes. You fill out that damn form, you're getting a call instantly. They're not messing around with their leads. The leads are too expensive because they know. And do you think that they would be doing that if it didn't matter? I mean, ultimately, because software is there to do it, there's no excuse not to do it if you spend a serious amount of dough on ads. I understand if you're spending a couple $100 a day, and maybe you do it, maybe you don't, whatever, even though you should still look into it. But if you're spending some serious money and you're not answering the form leads within 60 seconds like that, you can't complain that you're not making what you want to make. That's just too easy to do. Anyway, hopefully that answers your question. Beyond that, guys, I just say no C8 Corvette until $30K per month. That's right. It's tempting to just get comfortable, but shit always happens, right? You get blindsided out of nowhere. Nobody expects it. Just don't be the one that, your business that goes out of business the next recession because you weren't prepared for it. Anyway, thank you for coming on. I will wrap it up with that. I'll see you guys next week, hopefully. And I had some really good questions this week. I hope I get the same next week. See you then.